For the Brazilian national team, Russia represents redemption. Their previous attempt for greatness darkened by a fallen star and finally buried under a German goal-scoring onslaught on home soil. For Romelu Lukaku, Russia presents itself as a passage from fringe contributor to permanent indispensable fixture. And for Sergio Ramos, Russia may symbolize the last time he represents Spain as his nation's World Cup captain. The contenders, the protagonists, the captains. These are just some of the storylines on the road to Russia. He's a man who's made the front of the Real Madrid party bus his second home. Having won his third Champions League title in 2017, Sergio Ramos became the club's first captain to lead Los Blancos to consecutive League and European Cup titles, and became the first player in the Champions League era to captain a club to back-to-back titles.
The spirit of Real Madrid makes us fight until the end, and we need to have this always in mind. When everything looks like it's not working, that hope is the last thing you need to lose.
This never-say-die attitude is apparent with the Spanish national side, especially at the World Cup in 2010, where he lined up at right fullback and helped La Roja to a last-gasp extra-time victory versus the Netherlands in the final, and their first-ever world title. Add to that 2 consecutive UEFA European Championship titles in 2008 and 2012, and a European Under-19 title in 2004. The athletic Andalusian has become the backbone of Spain's back four, and their youngest ever player to earn 100 caps. His years of service with the national side made him the natural heir to Saint Iker Casillas as Spain's captain in the months following their embarrassing 2014 World Cup exit in Brazil. Ramos will be 32 in Russia and is wiser with age. He's a family man now, the father of 2 sons with partner Pilar Rubio. But he still struggles to control his emotions. Hence, he has twice as many international yellow cards as he does goals. Nonetheless, he remains an elite, determined defender with the knack for the attack. If Spain wants to relive their glory days while in Russia, Captain Ramos will need to be on his best behavior. Coming up, big Romelu Lukaku has big plans for Russia, and deconstructing perennial World Cup contenders Brazil. The finishing touches have been put on Moscow's Luzhniki Stadium in preparation for Russia's first ever World Cup as host. Built in 1956, the venue will become their World Cup centerpiece in 2018, as the home to both the opening match as well as the final.
We kept the historic facade of the stadium, but completely dismantled the old structures and built a new stadium. Instead of the 122,000 square meters, it was built to 240 square meters of the space reconstructions, meeting the requirements of FIFA.
When 10% of the seating was deemed unusable, they worked on eliminating blind spots by constructing stands at a steeper angle, increasing capacity to 81,000. And to combat the lack of summer sunshine, special heat lamps were installed to ensure the pitch remained warm and picture perfect. So while the outside may stand as a symbol of the past, inside it's all about the future.
In general, though the outside of the stadium seems it hasn't changed, inside it is a completely new and beautiful modern venue. The construction follows all FIFA requirements.
But if the wait for the World Cup has become too agonizing, the small village of Stavropol has created a cheaper, ready-to-go alternative. The World Cup in straw.
This kind of sport is very different from the real football.
It's different but delightful. With a stadium built out of the surface this version of the World Game is played on.
The arena was built from 4,500 straw blocks. It can fit 300 spectators. The construction took 5 days to complete, and 3 people were involved in the building process.
6 teams participated in the local tournament, all done in an attempt to get people excited about the World Cup on home soil. With great price tags come great expectations. Such is the case for Belgian monster striker Romelu Lukaku. Because before the start of the 2017-18 Premier League campaign, Lukaku was lured by the big money of Manchester and swapped his blue kit at Everton for the devilish red of United on a top 10 transfer fee of €85 million.
This sort of opportunity that I always wanted since a child, and when they came calling, didn't have to think twice.
It's funny to think that not all that long ago, Lukaku was a child, terrorizing defenders as a teenager in the Belgian Pro League, becoming the league's top scorer as a 16-year-old with Anderlecht. That same year, he made his senior side debut with another Red Devils side, the Belgian national team, regular part of the squad ever since. Between his March 2010 national team debut versus Croatia and Belgium's victorious June World Cup qualifier against Estonia, Lukaku scored 20 goals in 57 appearances, all by the age of 24. However, his first World Cup appearance in 2014 didn't live up to all the hype. Despite being Belgium's saviour by scoring the game-winning goal in extra time of their round of 16 clash against the United States, Lukaku lost his starting spot on the front line to Divock Origi and only got just over a half hour of game time in Belgium's quarter-final loss to Argentina. Another Belgian quarter-final elimination at the 2016 Euros meant coach Mark Wilmots was on his way out. Replacing him was Lukaku's old boss at Everton, Roberto Martinez. And even more influential for the physical left-footed striker's development is who Martinez appointed as one of his assistant coaches, French goal-scoring legend Thierry Henry.
I think he helps us, the strikers and also the team, to have a certain concentration when we are on the pitch. I think he won it all. I think when somebody like him talks, you listen as well.
The listening seems to have paid off. In just 5 2018 World Cup qualification matches between September 2016 and March 2017, he scored 6 goals. Suddenly, his desire to become the greatest striker on the planet isn't all that far-fetched.
There's nothing wrong with ambition. I think you have to embrace it. You have to embrace the situation where you are in as a footballer. I think I've managed a long way until now, but the road is still long, and I know I have to improve and get better every single day of the week. So that's the challenge, and I like the challenge.
The challenge for Belgium on football's biggest stage is to live up to their potential and go further than the quarters. Just 25 years of age in Russia, the challenge for Romelu Lukaku will be to make a positive impact every time he steps onto the pitch.
I'm Romelu Lukaku. At the end of the day, I want to create my own history.
If all goes to plan for the big Belgian, he'll create history in Russia for himself and for his nation. In an 84-year span between World Cup #1 and the 2014 edition, only 8 different national teams have hoisted the trophy, led by the only country to have appeared in every edition: Brazil. With 5 championships to their name, this nation of sun and samba consider football a religion and winning the World Cup an obligation. That obligation means anything less than the best is disastrous. Ironically enough, 2 of their biggest World Cup disasters took place on home soil. Their 1950 final loss to Uruguay, which turned a festive Maracanã into a forlorn Maracanazo. And their 2014 implosion against eventual champion Germany, a 7-1 thumping that left the locals in despair and their coach packing.
I perfectly understand. I hear the contention. I feel the shame. I hear it all and feel it all, and it will never leave me.
But take those titanic losses away, and Brazil has been the best nation to participate in the World Cup. With 2 golden eras. The Pelé-led team that won 3 titles between 1958 and 1970, and the team that won in 2 of 3 straight finals appearances between 1994 and 2002. 2018 is the chance to begin their 3rd golden era and capture their 6th World Cup. Moscow is a far cry from the Maracanã, and perhaps that's a good omen. After the break, the Seleção's key components in Russia and the Portuguese coach who's made magic in the Middle East. Brazil was desperate to put their painful 2014 World Cup disaster behind them. But oddly enough, they delved into the past in an attempt to secure a brighter future. Carlos Dunga was chosen to replace Luiz Felipe Scolari, even though he brought the baggage of a failed 2010 World Cup experience with him, which culminated in a quarter-final loss to eventual finalists, the Netherlands. So perhaps it was no surprise that their road to Russia got off on the wrong foot. A 2-0 loss to Chile set the tone for 6 lackluster qualification matches that saw them accumulate just 2 wins and even more self-doubt. And after Brazil sunk to another low following their 2016 Copa America Centenario group stage elimination, it was clear a clean slate was needed. Enter Adenor Baki, better known as Chichi. The FIFA Club World Cup winner with Corinthians had a tall task ahead of him, but he was up for the challenge.
Organisation without creativity is monotonous. Creativity without organisation is an absolute mess.
The team's ascension to the top of the CONMEBOL qualification table upon his arrival was anything but a mess. And in March 2017, Brazil became the first nation to qualify for Russia 2018, thanks to a decisive 3-0 defeat of Paraguay, coupled with Peru's surprise win over Uruguay.
I have always trusted in our team, in the players that we have. It's a very skilled team. If we put the ball on the ground and play, nobody can beat us.
Under Chichi, Brazil's road to Russia was impressive. But not only did they dominate on the score sheet, but they were responsible at the back, letting in just 2 goals. An own goal versus Colombia and a penalty against Uruguay. Having taken the coaching reins following a Scolari Dunga juggling act that symbolized one of the Seleção's ugliest periods, Chichi's pragmatic thinking means efficiency comes before beauty. But Brazil's commanding performances support his style of play, proving this popular players' coach is the glue that holds them together.
We players, we want information, we want to learn. Undoubtedly, the mix of Chichi with the players has been very good.
Chichi has a reputation for building solid defenses, but he has his work cut out for him with the last line of defense, the goalkeepers. When you consider Brazil's current crop of keepers have less than a quarter of the caps 2014 World Cup shot stopper Julio Cesar has combined, the position would seem to be one of weakness. But the potential trio of AS Roma's Alisson, Manchester City newcomer Ederson, and 2016 gold medal winner Weverton all stand to have breakout seasons at club level, even if they provide little in terms of international experience. The most interesting of the lot could be Ederson, who became the most expensive goalkeeper in Premier League history, signing with City in 2017 from Benfica just before his 23rd birthday. Contrary to how things look in net, the back four that will stand in front of the shot stoppers will have plenty of experience to draw on. That's because it's safe to say the eternal Dani Alves and Marcelo will work the wings once again, with central defenders Miranda and young gun Marquinhos closing the gap down the middle.
These are my first World Cup qualifiers. It's a great experience in my career and in my life, living on both sides of it, starting out in a hard position and then coming out on top.
They can also count on the likes of Filipe Luis, Alexandro, and veteran PSG captain Thiago Silva, who has acted as a mentor to Marquinhos while in the French capital. With Chichi's predisposition for team defense, holding midfielders are fundamental, and Brazil has 2 of the world's best. Because Manchester City's Fernandinho and Real Madrid's Casemiro both split time in the role during qualification and could both comfortably do the same in Russia. Add to that a rejuvenated Paulinho, who found the back of the net 3 times in their 4-1 thrashing of Uruguay, and a highly motivated Willian, and the center of the pitch is theirs to command.
I think that our opponents are starting to fear facing Brazil like in the past. And the way that we've been playing has caught the attention of the entire world.
Up front, not only does Brazil boast 2 of the game's most exciting talents, but arguably the world's greatest goal-scoring promise. First and foremost, the man with the weight of his nation on his shoulders, Neymar. The world's most expensive player had his last World Cup experience cut short, courtesy of a cracking Colombian tackle that made an enemy out of Juan Zuniga, while further cementing Neymar's status as Brazil's football saint. Because without him, there were no miracles. But he plans on creating a much different narrative in Russia. Because he'll be able to share the load this time with another superstar in Philippe Coutinho, who's lethal from either an attacking midfield position or on the wing. And Gabriel Jesus, who bagged himself 5 goals in his first 7 senior side appearances. One thing is certain, under Chichi, this team is as united as it's ever been.
What I would tell our fans, in all humility, we can dream big.
He is one of the most polarizing coaches in the world today. For Real Madrid fans, Carlos Queiroz is considered a failure, unable to make the most of his Galacticos in a less than stellar 10-month coaching stint. Yet as an assistant coach to Sir Alex Ferguson at Manchester United, Queiroz was lauded as the ideal right-hand man for the job. Despite 2 failed attempts nearly 2 decades apart to lead Portugal to glory, Iran came calling in 2011, and after luring talented players from the Iranian diaspora, he's led the nation to consecutive World Cup appearances in 2014 and again in 2018, becoming just the 2nd team after Brazil to qualify for Russia.
If you don't put in place consistent and ambition and quality World Cup preparation, you don't have a chance.
Coach Queiroz earns 293 times more than the average person in Iran. And he definitely has his work cut out for him to warrant the pay. When you consider they've only won a World Cup match once in 4 previous editions. But the Mozambique-born general knows the only way this team can possibly earn themselves any World Cup credibility is by doing the little things right.
The important thing in the game is that we are well prepared. Each ball, each pass, each duel, each save, this is our way.
Still to come, can Adam Lallana become England's X Factor? England's 2018 X Factor arrived on the scene somewhat later in his career. But for Adam Lallana and the 3 Lions, it's clearly been a case of better late than never.
We're representing our country, and that's what, you know, as a player growing up, that's what you want to do. It's the pinnacle.
The attacking midfielder made his senior side debut as a 25-year-old in 2013. And his handful of performances since earned him a spot on England's 2014 World Cup squad. Quite the feat when you consider 3 years prior, he was playing League One football with Southampton. The experience in Brazil was bittersweet, as England was eliminated in the group stage. But he was able to nonetheless celebrate a move to Liverpool upon his return home.
I like to think I'm here on merit, you know, I like to think I've earned it, and I just can't wait to keep improving, playing with world-class players, a lot of England teammates as well, which I'm also I'm looking so much forward to.
Lallana quickly became a permanent fixture at Merseyside. And although the England team suffered an embarrassing elimination at the 2016 Euros, he was one of the few players who found himself in a favourable light amongst the media, even if he couldn't seem to find the back of the net.
Obviously, it would be nice to eventually get a goal. You know, it's a dream for everyone when you're younger and growing up and playing for your country. But listen, I'm just concentrating on England winning games, really, playing well and winning games, and I'm sure. I keep saying this now, but I'm sure eventually it will come.
It finally did in 2018 World Cup qualification, when he scored goals in consecutive caps against Slovakia and Scotland, followed by a third in a friendly against Spain. His relentless overall play garnered him the nod as England's 2016 Player of the Year. One thing working against Lallana is the injury bug, and he has picked up a few knocks and time away from the pitch along the way. But if he can stay healthy, he'll remain a key contributor in England's starting 11 on the road to Russia.